It's a joy to welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hartford County. I'm Reverend Jay Brooks. My pronouns are she, her. Leading the service with me today are Worship Associate Beth Woodroy and Music Director Brenna Countryman.
My pronouns are she and her. This building where we gather today is situated on the native lands of the Susquehannock people. As a community, we hope to promote greater understanding of Indigenous peoples' concerns and rights.
Whatever the faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whatever your race or where you were born, whatever your gender, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here.
Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that values diversity and embraces the wisdom of all faiths. We use science, reason, and the gifts of the Spirit to explore life's mystery and meaning.
We gather in community to restore the balance of our spirits, to celebrate the joys of life and find the strength to meet our sorrows, and in the earliest meaning of the word worship, to consider ideas that are worthy of our time and attention.
In this tradition, we know that people need not think alike to love alike.
During the month of March, our learning and worship theme is trust. Today we consider how, in this time and place, we hold a sacred trust that arises from our Unitarian Universalist history and values. May the sound of the bell and the music of the prelude center us as we enter into a time of worship.
I have a friend who used to climb the walls, the stone cathedrals in the mountain halls, where mistakes you can't afford, nothing between him and the Lord, but a piece of nylon cord in his two calloused hands. Found me trembling once in grievous fear. Illness might soon claim someone I held dear. And he said, once upon a time, when I was learning how to climb, somebody said the words that I'm about to say to you. Trust the rope, trust the rope. Hold on tight and make a friend of it. Even when you've reached the end of it, don't lose hope. Trust the rope. There was this cliff face that he could not cross. No ledge to grab on, he was at a loss. His mind filled up with fear and doubt, till he heard his buddy shout, just let go and swing on out. It's gonna be okay. Trust the rope, trust the rope. Hold on tight and make a friend of it. Especially when you've reached the end of it and you can't go. Trust the road. Some say ships are safe in harbors, but that's not what folks who build ships have in mind. And Tarzan swinging through the arbors has to put his faith in every vine. Trust the road, just the road, hanging out between heaven and hell. When you hear a voice above you yell, don't say no. Trust the road. Trust the road.
Each Sunday, we light the chalice of our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors who taught us through their various religious traditions and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children who are learning the traditions we teach and who learn more from our actions than our words. We do this for ourselves so that we are inspired to remember our beginnings, reflect on who we are now, and spread our wings as we understand who we seek to become.
Our call to worship today is by Unitarian Universalist minister Julian Meca Soto. Everything is still on fire, despite your best efforts. In addition to living, it is clear that fire or not, you must level up in what it means to thrive. Right now, that means wrestling with the truth in the fact that everything is not all your fault. I am sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches, the wind of "not my problem" blows, and the blaze is hard to stop. But hard is not impossible. Not yet is different than never. You in community have an answer. You have a response to systems of power and control and to the cost of suffering. You and your community together are the answer. You are not only people of flame, but also a people of cold, clear truth. You know both where you fall short and where you flourish and where you still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. You remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshakable than swayed by the latest rage. You are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. Let's rise now, or remain seated if that's more comfortable for you, as we sing together "This Land Is Your Land" by Woody Guthrie.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Grail Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, I've followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I seen my people. As I stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Today's story for all ages is called Texting the Revolution, and it's a story based on the 1775 letters of William Bradford and James Madison by our own Jay Brooks. So, I'm in 7th grade, and in school we're studying American history. My teacher said we had to write a report on letters some of the American Revolution people wrote 250 years ago. And I said, really? Because the way they write, it's not like anyone can actually understand it. They don't talk like anyone today. Boring. Besides, who writes letters? So my teacher said, okay, take these old letters and change them. If they were alive today, instead of 1775, they wouldn't write letters, they'd text. What would they say? Write it. So that's what I did. First, some background. James Madison and William Bradford met in college. In 1774, they were in their early 20s. James lived in Virginia and William lived in Philadelphia. One letter was about the Boston Tea Party. William wrote that in Philadelphia instead of dumping tea in the harbor to protest the British tax on tea. Community organizers got the riverboat pilots to make themselves unavailable to guide the tea ships up the river to the city. So the ships had to go back to England. It was dope. Anyway, here's what James Madison texted. Dude, awesome about turning back the tea ships. Way to go. Too bad Boston was way more violent. It was out there. But maybe those shenanigans in Boston will raise the profile on the need to defend our freedom. Anyway, wish I were in Philly to breathe the fresh air. 'Cause, dude, there's nothing to brag about here in Virginia. More of the same old, same old. Satan spawn persecuting people for their religion. And I mean, really, put people in jail just because their religious views are a little different? No way. But right now, there are 5 or 6 dudes in jail for being Baptist. I've been blogging like crazy, but there's no traction. It's getting on my last nerve. I know you feel sad for me, right? During the next year, James Madison kept up his rant. I guess people listened. He wrote a constitution for the state of Virginia, and hello, freedom of religion. There may have been other bad stuff going on in Virginia, like slavery, but freedom of religion was a decent start. My teacher liked my paper and said I should translate some of Thomas Jefferson's letters. Thomas Jefferson, he's the dude who wrote the Declaration of Independence. But I said, no, I'd rather look at how people today are texting the revolution. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, due process, and free speech, because as a country, we still have a long way to go before that applies to everyone. And maybe I'll text a little revolution myself. See.
Thank you, Beth. Each Sunday, we invite those who gather here to support the mission of this congregation by offering a financial contribution.
With love at the center, we care for one another and extend that care into the wider community through actions for equity and justice, which, no matter how small, work toward the transformation of our world.
This fellowship intentionally welcomes the pluralism of theological beliefs as members seek to learn and grow, acknowledging our interdependence as we help each other toward deeper understanding.
Financial contributions allow this congregation to reach out to all who seek a life-affirming message of love and hope. If you're online, click on the link in the Zoom chat to contribute. If you're on site, you may place a donation in the basket or use your device to find the donate link on uufhc.net.
Whatever your method of giving, your generosity helps to grow a healthier, more joyful Unitarian Universalist community, and in keeping with our religious heritage, to draw the circle of love and justice just a little bit wider. In this worship service that invites us to lean even more deeply into our mission as Unitarian Universalists, we renew our commitment as a community to respond out of deep care for one another. So now is the time to share briefly a joy, a sorrow, a gratitude, something you carry deep within your heart this morning. If you're on site in the sanctuary, please come to the microphone to speak or raise your hand and a microphone can be brought to you. If you're on Zoom, put in the chat the message that you'd like to share and Brenna will read it. Beth will light a candle for each sharing. A few gentle reminders. This isn't a time for announcements or, please, politics. Say your first name and share from your heart and from your own experience, and be mindful not to share someone else's experience unless you have their express permission to do so. And as people share, let's listen without applause as we hold one another in the fullness of this community. And before others share, may we take... Standing with David is his wife, Lynn. David, would you like to share a thought or two with our community?
I would. It's really a joy to sign the book today. I've been coming to the fellowship off and on for about 10 months. We moved to Bel Air about 12 months ago. And in the 10 months, I've gotten to know, I can look out and just see all kinds of people that I've met and spent time with. And it's been really wonderful. And I'm proud and honored to be part of this terrific community.
David, we're honored to have you. And now Beth will light a final candle to symbolize the longing and hope of people everywhere.
Don't let your mind get weary and confused. Your will be still. Don't try. Don't let your heart get heavy, child, inside you. There's a strength that lies. Don't let your soul get lonely, child, it's only time. It will go by. Don't look for love in places, faces, it's in you. That's where you'll find kindness. Be here now. Be here now. Here now. Don't lose your faith in me, and I will try not to lose faith in you. Don't put your trust in walls, 'cause walls will only crush you when they fall. Fall. Be here now. Be here now. Here now. Be here now. Here now.
Melina, Abdullah is professor and former chair of Pan-African Studies at California State University, Los Angeles. She was among the original group that convened to form Black Lives Matter. In a moment, Beth will read an excerpt from an article marking the award of the 2017 Sydney Peace Prize to the Black Lives Matter Global Network. Although Professor Abdullah's topic is the Black Lives Matter movement, her comments apply as well to the treatment of other groups that are marginalized, even hunted in America today.
We have a right to our lives. Our children have a right to live and walk freely without being hunted by the state, agents of the state, or wannabe agents of the state. This is not debatable. There are no two ways to see it. This is one of those very basic, fundamental truths. The call for Black Lives to matter, and for an end to state-sanctioned violence against Black people, and by extension, all people, is fundamentally a call for peace. And peace must not be confused with the momentary quiet of submission. The kind of peace sought by Black Lives Matter results from justice. Peace cannot be compelled or forced. It is earned when the people benefit from and see themselves as part of the societies in which they are housed. Peace is not a tactic of struggle, it is an outcome. As we struggle for a world where Black lives are no longer intentionally and systematically targeted for demise, it means that the systems that prey on us must be not simply reformed, but reimagined and transformed. Peace calls for an end to incarceration and criminalization in favor of real public safety solutions. Peace calls for the meeting of basic human needs, including safe housing, clean water, healthy food, and medical care. Peace calls for quality education as a universal right and the ability to engage fully in the arts, culture, and spirituality. Peace requires revolutionary vision, and Black Lives Matter is a peace movement.
If you are weary and trying to find your way home, don't give up, my friend, 'cause you are not alone. In a world full of trouble, you know trouble might find you, but I've got your medicine, baby, 'cause this is what you do. You got to rise up singing. In time this too shall pass. You got to rise up singing. You know trouble ain't built to last. And when you're left standing with no hope left inside, 'cause at the end of the tunnel somebody's dimming out the lights. Well, you can lose your way and end up so far, far from home. But till the day you lose your voice, you cannot lose your song. You got to rise up singing. In time this too shall pass. Yeah, you got to rise up singing. You know trouble ain't built to last. You know life ain't easy. Your life will make you cry. But so long as you're breathing, then you know you're still alive. When you're standing at the station, waiting for your train, don't you think you'll be singing Oh, that sweet refrain, you got to rise up singing. In time this too shall pass. You got to rise up singing. You know trouble ain't built to last. You know trouble ain't built to last. Woo!
When I was a young lawyer, a friend offered to take me rock climbing. I said I had never done it before, but I'd love to try. So he changed his offer to, I will give you a very basic lesson in rock climbing. I agreed. We went to the base of a cliff that basically went straight up. It was just a bit daunting. My instructor took me around to the back of the cliff so that we could climb it up the easy way. When we got to the top and looked down over the edge of the cliff that I would eventually climb up, suddenly it was even more daunting because I could see how far I could fall. But the point of standing at the top wasn't to terrify me. It was so that I could see where and how the rope was anchored, solidly anchored. The gear included a harness that I would wear, the harness attached to the rope, I was told, that could support many, many hundreds of pounds, even if the weight pulled it down sharply, as it would when the climber's grip slipped, and only the rope would keep the climber from falling all the way down. Trust the rope, my guide said. We again used the easy way down and returned to the base of the cliff. I donned the harness and attached the clip to the rope that now dangled from what I had seen with my own eyes was a solid anchor. Trust the rope, my guide said again. You may be afraid, you may slip and be terrified, but the rope will always save you. And so I started up. It was all true. There were moments when I got stuck, when I felt I couldn't find a way forward. There were times when my hand slipped or my foot slipped, and when I had to go sideways to reach a better foothold, everything slipped. It was terrifying, but the rope caught me. I hung there, swaying and shocked, knowing I still had to go on. I was only halfway up. At least I knew from experience that I could trust the rope. The rest of the climb was easier because I wasn't as scared. It continued to be challenging and never stopped being daunting. But I got to the top, trusting the rope. So now, many years later, I'm remembering that climb. And right now, after the chaos of the last 2 months in America, I've been wondering what it is that I can trust so I can calm down enough to keep moving forward. Where's my rope? There are so many things that distress me, that frighten me, that anger me. Where is the rope that will give me at least a little courage, at least a little certainty? Where is the rope that can be my anchor and guide and source of hope? History and values. 500 years ago, when our religious forebears differentiated their beliefs from others. They inhabited a world where religious freedom wasn't even a concept. But in what was then called Transylvania, in the area that's now Romania, there first emerged the notion that people should be allowed to have different religious beliefs and should be allowed even to talk about them. Freedom of religion and freedom of speech. The first Unitarian community, about 450 years ago, was a participatory democracy that valued equal rights, free speech, and education for all. After about 2 generations, it was burned and pillaged, and the people who survived had to run away. As you know, or can easily guess, these freedoms, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, equal rights, they didn't stick long anywhere for quite a while. But ideas are powerful. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson was a Unitarian? Yes, the drafter of the Declaration of Independence was rather a free thinker. Some of the ideas that Jefferson included in the Declaration were ideas that had simmered in a Unitarian stew of discussion, persecution, and migration to foreign lands. Jefferson wrote that government derived its power from the consent of the governed. He listed the King of England's many actions to which the representatives of the American colonies did not consent. Some of the actions that offended them were rather unique to the times, but others sound familiar even today. In the Declaration, the Americans rejected the rule of a monarch who, among other things, and this is a list, refused to pass laws that would allow immigration, obstructed the laws for naturalization of foreigners, made judges dependent on his will alone, sent swarms of officers to harass our people, cut off trade with other parts of the world, deprived us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, took away our charters and altered fundamentally the forms of government. 1776. The Constitution of the United States, ratified in 1789, created 3 co-equal branches of government so they might serve as checks and balances on one another. In the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, adopted in 1791, we see the influence again of our Unitarian forebears, freedom of religion and free speech in the First Amendment. Another important right, which has come to represent much of the concept of democracy, is in the Fifth Amendment, the due process of law. Those of you who have been Unitarian Universalists for a while know that the 7 UU principles, the statement of values that preceded the current 7 values, expressly mentions the use of democratic processes. So do the 7 values in the definition of justice. The idea of democracy isn't merely about voting. It's about due process and the rule of law. It's about creating, as our values say, sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. There are many aspects to democracy, both in our UU congregations and in the wider world, but due process is surely the foundation. It's sometimes referred to more broadly as the rule of law, the idea that no one can be deprived of their life, liberty, or property without due process of law. It's the idea that the law, not the whim of an individual leader, determines how people are to be treated. In the last 2 months, there have been so many failures of due process, of the rule of law, of democracy, that I can't begin to name them all. Let me just say that the long list in the Declaration of Independence is a lot shorter than the list I could make based on the last 69 days. So, with respect for your time, I will limit myself to a few thoughts about free speech and due process. I especially want to talk about two aspects, one involving law firms and the other involving foreign graduate students. When I was the young lawyer who strapped on that climbing harness, I worked at the Washington, D.C. law firm of Covington and Burling. It's the firm that represented Special Counsel Jack Smith, the lawyer who led the Justice Department's investigation into possible criminal actions by the 47th president during his term as the 45th president. After the inauguration, it became clear that Smith would be personally investigated for his work as special counsel. Covington and Burling agreed to represent Smith pro bono, and as a result, the firm became the subject of an executive order that suspended the security clearances of all the lawyers and other staff who worked on Smith's representation. The order also prohibited all federal agencies from employing any Covington and Burling lawyers, any of them. You've probably seen in the news that other law firms have been the target of similar executive orders. These orders rest on the claim that the president has the authority to impose penalties on law firms that have represented the president's opponents. This claim is a clear violation of due process and a violation of free speech. Withdrawing a firm's security clearances, while clearly damaging to them, might be litigated eventually. But denying their lawyers access to government buildings or declaring that government agencies cannot hire as staff a lawyer who once worked for that firm could be devastating. It's also an immediate penalty, essentially for free speech, and it's imposed without due process. One of the law firms, I'm sure you've read about this, has settled the executive order, negotiated its rescission by promising $100 million in free legal services to causes or people the president chooses. Even this negotiated agreement is a penalty imposed without due process of law. The executive order purports to take effect immediately. By its very nature, any process will occur after the order was issued. With an executive order like this, the firm's options are to go to court with months or years of litigation, while some or all of the order is in effect, or to negotiate an agreement that is in effect a huge monetary penalty. But it's not just about money. That penalty forces the firms to represent clients, to speak for clients that those lawyers might not otherwise choose to represent. In other words, it's monetary loss coupled with forced speech at the president's direction. These vivid public examples of the cost of representing people a president perceives as enemies will lead other firms, other lawyers, to decline to represent those disfavored people or points of view. In effect, some firms will refrain from speaking for those views for fear of retaliation by executive order. This is called a chilling effect that encourages people to silence themselves, and the chilling of protected speech violates the First Amendment. What about the disfavored people those firms used to represent? What of disfavored others who might need representation in the future? How is free speech to be protected unless people whose speech is disfavored can find legal representation? How is there to be due process for people like Jack Smith, who now is clearly identified as someone it is dangerous to represent? The same failure of free speech and due process is also present in the detention and deportation of foreign visitors and foreign residents who are legally in the United States, especially in the cases of foreign graduate students whose public comments are unacceptable to our government's current leaders. Just as with law firms targeted by punitive executive orders, the highly visible detention and deportation of foreign graduate students will silence others from exercising their freedom of expression. All people present in America are entitled to free speech rights under the First Amendment. These high-profile detentions will chill the speech of anyone who disagrees with the president. And what about the swift deportation of many people, for example, to a prison in El Salvador with no due process hearing before they are chained and loaded onto an airplane? Our law requires a due process hearing before deportation. Consider, if no due process is offered to foreigners who have a legal right to be in this country, would we ever even know if a citizen is swept up in an immigration raid? How at risk are citizens with brown skin or an accent or a supposedly foreign-sounding name? Situations like this have already arisen. How many more are there that we don't know about? How many more will there be in the future? Consider as well the way in which a Tufts graduate student, a woman, was approached by a man dressed all in black. When he was close enough, he grabbed her wrists, upon which a group of agents, most dressed in black and most wearing masks, converged upon her and took her away in an unmarked car. This is every woman's nightmare. As one of the witnesses to the incident said, as it was happening, "Is this a kidnapping?" For all practical purposes, yes, it is. When someone is arrested for a crime, shoplifting, for example, it's typically uniformed police officers who take them to a local police station where they have a right to a lawyer and to a phone call so they can let their family know what has happened. That's part of due process. Grabbing a student off the street and taking her away to a detention center more than 1,000 miles from her home, as frantic family members and friends try to find her, that is not due process. In the words of Melina Abdullah, our children have a right to live and walk freely without being hunted by the state, agents of the state, or wannabe agents of the state. The last person to be jailed for blasphemy in America was Universalist minister Abner Kneeland, who in 1838 spent 6 months in a Massachusetts jail. The judge who sentenced him called him a cantankerous and inflexible heretic. And maybe so. Kneeland proclaimed the right of equal treatment for all people, including women. The right of people of different races to marry each other, and the freedom to use birth control. Obviously, a heretic. When Abraham Lincoln gave his Gettysburg Address, he used a phrase borrowed from Unitarian minister, the Reverend Theodore Parker. The phrase is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This idea is deeply embedded in Unitarian Universalism. It's an idea that's also visible in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Justice, equity, and due process, these are core values of our religion as well as of our American democracy. When I ask myself what I can hold on to during this tumultuous time, what's the rope I trust to hold me and save me, I discover that it's the rope braided from the values of Unitarian Universalism, the values that our religious ancestors proclaimed and lived and sometimes suffered and died for. They've handed down to us a sacred trust to protect and live the values that they cherished and preserved for our benefit. When I take hold of that rope today, I see clearly that my faith impels me to do two things. First, within these walls, create a welcoming and supportive community for everyone. Second, outside these walls, speak and act for free speech and due process. Those values are the rope that links me to the people whose faith and courage exemplify our religious tradition. I am not exactly sure what I will do. I can't at this moment specify the ways and means, but when I feel lost or frustrated or even terrified, I can trust the rope. And that rope is what binds together this community of good people who love freedom and fairness, people who hope to build the beloved community here and everywhere. Together, we can trust the rope, and maybe we'll start texting a little revolution. Peaceful revolution, but relentless. And now let's rise or remain seated as is comfortable for you as we sing Answer Now to Life. The sheet music is in your printed order of service, and there are two pages to the song. One is on the small sheet, and the other is on the larger sheet.
As we rise together at each other's side, through us moves thy spirit, love and hope and pride. Ever-flowing spirit binds us to the rest. Life's a sacred challenge. Feel the ever-flowing spirit, sure in peace or strife. Grasp the sacred challenge, answer yes to life. If we leap in sunlight or collapse in woe, still we feel life's spirit touching all Earth's people, linking bird and deer. Life's a driven ocean, banishing all fear. Feel the ever-flowing spirit, sure in peace or strife. Grasp the sacred challenge, answer now to life. We will see injustice, will we speak at need? Is all earth our homeland, blessed by word and deed? Life will have its answer in the way we live. Life calling, will we rise to give? Feel the ever-flowing spirit, sure in peace and strife. Grasp the sacred challenge, answer now to life.
Benediction is by the Jewish theologian Abraham Joshua Heschel. Remember, there is a meaning beyond absurdity. Be sure that every little deed counts, that every word has power. Never forget that you can still do your share to redeem the world in spite of all absurdities and frustrations and disappointments. May it be so. And now let's read together our words for extinguishing the chalice. Now we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into all the world.
All right, this chorus has an audience participation part. So when you hear me say, can I get an oh yeah, I need you to say, oh yeah. And when I say, can I get an amen, I need you to say,
Amen.
there we go. All right. Every morning's like a little flower, opening its petals toward the sky, sky, sky. Now tell me, are you gonna stop and smell that little flower? Or are you gonna pass it right by? Every day is like a brand new penny, lying there all shiny on the ground, ground, ground. Now tell me, are you gonna go pick up that brand new penny? Or will you leave it lying where it's found? Can I get a whoop, whoop, whoop if you get it? Can I get a hey, hey, hey if you understood? Can I get an oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Life is what you make it, so go out and make it good. Every day's a day for new beginnings, another chance to try and get it right. So tell me what you're gonna do with this fresh new day before you go and close your eyes tonight. Can I get a whoop, whoop, whoop if you get it? Can I get a hey, hey, hey if you understood? Can I get an oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Life is what you make it, so go out and make it good. It's all up to you what you choose to do. Are you gonna let it stop you, or will you see it through? Can I get a whoop, whoop, whoop if you get it? Can I get a hey, hey, hey if you understood? Can I get an oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Life is what you make it, so go out and make it good. Life is what you make it, so go out and make it good.
Woo! And in case you didn't notice, Brenna wrote that song. Yeah. Now, before you leap up to get coffee and refreshments, we have a few quick announcements. First, an update from Mark Davis on our stewardship drive. Mark?
Okay. Is this on? There we go. All right, so far we have raised about $130,000 through our stewardship pledge. We need about $57,000 more to get to our goal. So this week we are really pushing hard to get it all wrapped up, as we're going to start to build the budget exercise in mid-April. So I want to thank, we have several stewards, Kathy Kraft, Glenn Brown, Rob Lieb, and Dirk and Shauna outside that are will be reaching out to folks. If you haven't pledged yet, please do the best you can to get those in this week. Every gift matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Join UUA Communications Director Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd in an interfaith prayer vigil on the eve of the interfaith lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security's revocation of its rule prohibiting ICE from entering schools and houses of worship in search of people to detain. The vigil begins at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 3rd at the National City Christian Church in D.C.
Sharing table. Is Maureen North here, or anyone else who wants to say something about making goulash for the sharing table? Tricia, please.
Sorry, Maureen couldn't come today. She's got her grandson back, so that she's happy about that. But we are still looking for more goulash, so please let Maureen know if you're willing to do it. We've got enough workers for the kitchen, and that's always a challenge too, but that's all taken care of. So, you know, just if you can make a couple pounds of goulash and bring it to one of our houses, we really, really appreciate it, because we're trying to feed about 400 people.
Do you have another announcement?
I do.
I thought so.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, baskets. So if you're making a basket at home or for a committee, please bring it in the Sunday before the auction. I can't think of the date, but you'll
April
know.
19th.
April 19th.
Saturday.
Oh, that's the date of the auction. So the Sunday before that, please bring the basket in, because we set them all up ahead of time before you come into the auction, which is a big, fun thing, so I hope you come.
Thank you so much, Tricia.
Next announcement, the memorial service for Olivia Spencer is this Saturday, April 5th at 3 p.m. here in the sanctuary.
The Covenant Workshop, previously scheduled for April the 8th, has been canceled due to too much and will be rescheduled for the fall.
The Serendipity auction is on April 19th. The deadline for completing the donation form is April 7th.
Here it is, and it's on your seats. If you haven't done it, you can also make a donation online. Go to uufhc.net. Could you say that tonight since I didn't?
Yes, you can make a donation. You can fill out a donation form to donate items to be auctioned off as a fundraiser for this amazing fellowship community by going online or by picking up one of the pieces of paper on your seats. And that's it.
Nope, we got one more.
Oh, one more?
Last minute edition. Brenna has got something to say.
Sorry, I'm doing last minute stuff lately.
There's a lot going on.
So we've got two announcements. One is on behalf of Jen Blosser. So Jen's service a couple of weeks ago about people who were diagnosed as adults with ADHD or autism, or people who discovered that at any point in their lives. There was enough interest that we thought we might just have a lunch, just sit and chat, an interest group at the next potluck. So April 13th, if you're interested in that, we'll just be gathering and probably going into a classroom to chat about that more. And then the other thing is, for those who were not able to attend the music retreat but have an interest in being involved in and or feeding back on the music that we have here and what we may have going forward. Please let myself or Beth know, or you can reach out to music@UUFHC, and we'll be scheduling a follow-up lunch in the next few weeks once we know who would like to join that.
Thank you, Brenna. And I think that's it. Enjoy your coffee and conversation.